hearing me clear, I would like to go ahead and get started. First of all, thank you all so much for listening. I would greatly appreciate it if you all would share this. Also, if you have not, make sure that you donate to the One Follow $1 campaign on Patreon. You can click on the link below. Also, thank you all for all the love that you all showed me on the video last night, or on the live stream I did yesterday, covering the interview between Tim Black and Donna Brazile. I felt like I actually was supposed to do that today, and I changed my mind. And the reason is, well, it was like I just couldn't hold it in. I was writing down so much, and I didn't want to. I was like, nah, I need to do this now. I'm not waiting till tomorrow. So I'm glad I did, though. I'm glad I did. I like to capture things like that in the moment. For those who are asking about the video, once again, there is no video this evening. I look way too tired. It's because I am too tired. Been working all day, so I don't need to see the black rings under my eyes tonight. If you are on West Coast time, then I envy you. You have a little bit more of your day left. But on the East Coast, our day is winding down. But let's just go ahead and get right to it. So, a couple of days ago, on the 14th, Jimmy Dore interviewed Nomiki Konst. Now, as you know, Nomiki Konst works for TYT. I'm not exactly sure what she does, because she doesn't really do political analysis. She just kind of yells really loud and then hopes that she gets her way, or hopes that people will believe what she's saying. I've never been a fan of Nomiki Konst, and it's because I just have never really been the type of person who likes people who attempt to be famous for bitching, and that's it. And I damn sure don't like the fact that she perpetuates the Russiagate story, and I don't like the fact that she works for TYT and is on a party unity committee, the Democratic Party Unity Committee specifically. Now, I was kind of like not surprised by the outcome of the interview. Like, I really wasn't. And the reason why is because Nomiki has always kind of played both sides. She tries to damn the Democratic Party constantly, but yet she literally will deny all evidence showing that Russiagate is total bullshit. And whenever she's actually asked to present evidence for the nonsensical claims that people who believe in the Russiagate story, that the claims that they make, she just gets louder and gets angrier, and you have to take their word for it. And now she's kind of displaying that same naivety, even as she is on this Democratic Democratic committee, unity committee. Now, I do not like the fact that TYT is actively involved in the success or the propagation of one party, period. But what? They're Democrats. They have a better chance. No. They're approaching it wrong. They're not doing it right. It's immoral. It is biased. And they have a responsibility as independent media, supposedly independent media, to make sure that they remain objective. They are, we have a job to respond to the story, not necessarily be the story, if you will. Like in the case of Nomiki Konst, in the way that she is part of the the TYT Unity Committee. There's no rational reason that anyone should be okay with that, and that's just fact. Just like I disagree with the existence of the Justice Democrats. Not necessarily do I disagree with the existence of the Justice Democrats. What I disagree with is the fact that a major media conglomerate is propagating candidates for whatever personal gain that they, whatever personal agenda that they want to achieve. It's not okay. Now, with this interview with Nomiki, well, first, also, let me just say, Jimmy Dore is firmly against the Democratic Party, but he considers Nomiki a friend because they work together. But I will probably never have someone like Nomiki or Donna Brazile on my show, because Jimmy Dore, Tim Black, and those alike, they're much nicer than I am. If you get what I'm saying. I don't mince my words. If you say some nonsense, I'm going to call you out for it. I'm not going to be like a total dick about it, but I'm not going to let you dance around the question. And if you're going to make certain assertions, then I'm going to address those assertions. I'm going to give you follow-up questions, and you're not going to skate off. And that's reality. And as nice as Jimmy is, the interview kind of left me like, oh my God, here we go with this rah-rah nonsense again, without actually acknowledging the reality of the Democratic Party. Because Nomiki is just a firm believer that the Democratic Party is in the midst of a revolution. They're in the middle of a revolution. We're getting rules changed in our favor, but it's going to take us 7 months to get those rules changed. Like, they're trying to reduce superdelegates, but because people are superdelegates, they don't want to lose their superdelegate title. But I think we may succeed. These are things that Nomiki asserted in her interview. She's like, we have to get behind the party. We have to do this. We have to do that. We have to do, like, everything is a party approach. And I've explained this in a previous video, and I'll re-explain this again in a few minutes about why the party approach is incredibly flawed. But just, I want to address something. Nomiki Konst, funny enough, Jordan Sheraton can actually attest to this. She's not really a journalist. She really, outside of the history with her parents, she isn't like that affluent politically. Like, she didn't have a lot of clout politically. She kind of like ran on this idea, like she's been propagating this idea that she's the first woman to run for House or Senate or something like that. But that's actually not true. She never actually filed for anything, nor did she campaign. She actually wasn't the youngest woman to ever run for U.S. House or U.S. Senate, but she said that to get attention. Like, she pretty much got brought on the TYT because she knows how to bitch and complain. She likes to play both sides. First she was all for Bernie, then it was Hillary, then it's Hillary better than Trump, then it's the Democratic Party, then it's what you still wanted Bernie to be, independent, but you want to, like, she is the definition of like what we call an opportunist in the political world. Like, any team who she thinks might be winning, that's the team she's playing for. Like with the Russiagate story, I can kind of tell she thought because TYT's crowd was, for the most part, the ones that were left were buying it, she thought that she would buy into it. And it didn't work out, so she just kind of stopped talking about it. But most of the TYT crowd is still buying into the dumb enter strategy. There are a lot of people in prevalent liberal areas like New York and California that are buying into the dim enter strategy. And so she's, riding that. But, I mean, they had to put her somewhere because, like, let's be honest, she's not like a great journalist. She doesn't really have an understanding of how politics works in reality. And really, I'm glad that she's making friends and, rubbing shoulders and elbows behind closed doors. But I don't think she understands these people. I don't think she understands the fact that these are people who have had a certain expectation and set a certain standard to do certain things a certain way for personal gain or otherwise. And these people have been in this party for 25, 30, even 40 years. For in some cases. They're not going to change their ways because you come in there bitching and screaming on a unity committee that doesn't even have a dominant majority when you're making decisions. Clearly, or else they wouldn't have completely refused all the Bernie or quote unquote progressive people from joining the Unity Committee, the Rules and Bylaws Committee. There's not one Bernie person, one progressive that was brought in specifically to support Bernie Sanders. Not one of them is on the Rules and Bylaws Committee. Now, even if they pass the Rules and Bylaws Committee, it's already like, because she's like, oh, this revolution's happening. We're going to get this done, and this is what's going to happen. But then she kind of like talk. Well, but ultimately, a lot of it's up to the state Democratic parties, and they can actually, change the rules literally whenever they want to. They could, whatever rule. So by the time they implement the rules, right? Because she even said this, it's going to take about 6 to 8 months. So pretty much after the midterm elections, or at least close enough to the end of the midterm elections that all the progressive candidates who are running as Democrats will still be hurt by the rules of the Democratic Party. But 6 to 7 months, right? Then they'll possibly be implemented. Not that they have to follow those rules, according to the DNC attorney, as he suggested or asserted in the DNC fraud lawsuit hearing. But if the rules are passed at the end of 2018, right after midterm elections, guess what can be done right before the right before the 2020 elections? Right before the 2020 elections, they can change the rules right back. How do we know this? Because we've already seen it happen in 2016. Did we not? We've already seen the fact that they're not bound by these rules. We've already seen that they're going to do what they want to. But most importantly, we've already seen that they have the ability to change the rules when they want to. And what's even funnier is that she even says at the end of the video, well, the chairperson can actually change these rules whenever he wants to, and I think we should start creating awareness about that. Like, you already knew that. The chairperson can change these rules when he wants. Then why isn't he changing them? Because the party doesn't want him to. They're not getting rid of superdelegates. They're not doing it. And like I said, I legitimately think that Nomiki is quite possibly just naive. Like, she's lived in this like political world where you be a Democrat and you're in the city that you're in. Because I know she's either from California or New York, but it's always been super liberal. And hey, if you're nice enough and you just smile and you're passionate enough, things just change if you yell loud enough and enough people see it on YouTube. No, that's not reality. And the actual reality of the situation is trying to join a political party and have that be your sole, and change the political party from the inside isn't going to change anything. And that's not just for the Democratic Party. If you try to join the Republican Party, if you try to join the Green Party, if you try to join the Libertarian Party, you're going to have the same result over and over and over and over and over again, because there is simply a fundamental misunderstanding about where the issues in our election process is. I said this last night in my review of Tim Black's interview with Donna Brazile. If you think that there could be 2 million Democrats, 1.5 million Republicans, 20 million independents, but as long as there are 25 Democrats running this precinct, 50 Republicans running that precinct, you will never see another party rise in this country, nor will you see the legitimate changes in a particular party that are necessary, because they don't have to change, because the federal laws allow them to stay this way, because no one is talking to the people that they need to be talking to. No one is going to the election commissions and demanding accountability, demanding more access to these elections. No one is taking elections to court before they run for office. They do it during their run for office as a draw for opportunity, or as a draw for like media and PR. But no one is talking to these election commissions people, these judges, getting attorneys involved early in fundamentally changing the way we vote. Then that cannot be done from a party. I am not saying don't reform the parties, but what I am saying is force the parties to reform, if you catch my drift. You can do that as an independent by figuring out who set the rules, who's in charge of changing the rules, and who has the power to be removed if they don't do what you ask. Create awareness in the right way. Going up to a bunch of rich elitists who have literally ran the party the way they want to run it their entire lives, who are all personally profiting off of it right now, and saying, hey, do what we want because that's what the people want. They have not voted in the interest of the people in literally decades. They have not made decisions on either side. They've not made decisions in the interest of the people in decades. And we expect that if we yell loud enough, if we complain enough, that's what's going to change it. I'm not saying don't complain. But I am also saying stop herding people into the Democratic Party and expecting us to assume that if we all just join the party and we all just run for office and we all just go out and vote, then that's going to solve all of our problems. Even though the elections are rigged and the gerrymandering is happening. Even though we've seen people purge from voter rolls. Even though we've seen them push people out of office. Even though we've seen them push people out of political positions. And what's even worse about this entire thing is that we know for a fact they aren't changing because one reality still exists. The reality is that they have still not accepted responsibility for their actions. They have still not even tried to hold anybody accountable for the actions of the for the actions of Debbie Wasserman Schultz. Like, yeah, she stepped down because they didn't really force her to, but like she was like, damn, I guess I have to now. But they didn't force her to step down. She's not fired. They didn't force her to resign out of the party. They didn't excommunicate her from the party. They still use her for fundraising. But no one's and they're still blaming their faults and the reasons that they lost this election on Russia. So how can I, as a legitimate progressive, as an analyst, and as someone who has plain common sense, believe Nomiki, who is saying, oh, all of a sudden they've had this coming to Jesus movement where we think that they might be becoming more progressives. Whenever Nomiki herself, who is supposed to be the valiant leader of this movement in the Unity Committee, can't even admit that the Russia story was bullshit. So if Nomiki, who's considering herself one of the most progressive of the bunch, is on this committee, she represents TYT, who can't admit the truth. She herself can't admit the truth. The Democrats themselves can't admit the truth. But I'm supposed to believe that all of you all have the power to push progressive agendas and actually get shit done. Forgetting that when money is involved, when there's personal gain to be had, shit doesn't get done unless there is the threat of accountability. That's reality. Kiskasity, I probably pronounced that wrong. She said Nomiki looked like she was acting the whole time. That is the perfect description of how I feel about Nomiki, actually. I legitimately feel like she's always acting. Always acting. She tries so hard to pretend like she just has all the ins and the outs of the Democratic Party. But she had the nerve to say that Donna Brazile isn't a Clintonite. And it's funny because I don't think she understands what Clintonite means. I don't think she understands what that means. She thinks it's, oh, Donna Brazile is in the Clintonite. That's what she said in the Jimmy Dore interview. And that can't be any more wrong. But once again, she's not understanding what she's dealing with, and that's what pisses me off. She doesn't understand what she's dealing with, because when we say Clintonite, we don't mean, oh yeah, their entire careers they've always, only, and ever supported Hillary Clinton. That's not what we're saying. When we say Donna Brazile is a Clintonite, what we're actually saying is that she's establishment to the core, and that she is willing to sacrifice her values in order to pursue her own agenda and prop up her own platform. She's willing to chase a title, willing to chase some money, and willing to chase just power over being willing to chase the dream of making sure that people are represented, which I think is a pretty easy, like I said, I think it's a pretty easy dream to achieve if you're not, and if that's your legitimate goal. But I don't think it is Donna Brazile's legitimate goal. Like, that's like saying that John Podesta isn't a Clintonite because he worked for Barack Obama. That's stupid. Howard Dean, same thing, loved Hillary Clinton, but made sure that Barack Obama could win that, and made sure that it was a fair race. Being a quote unquote Clintonite doesn't mean that you're just unwaveringly loyal to Hillary Clinton, because most Hillary Clinton supporters are not unwaveringly loyal to Hillary Clinton. They're unwaveringly loyal to her influence. They're definitely loyal to her power. But that does not mean that they are not Clintonites simply because they voted for Obama one time or they campaigned for Obama. Doesn't mean anything. Obama is a Clintonite. They are all making decisions based off of her influence in the party. That is what that means. You are an establishment shill who is willing to fold under pressure the moment someone of power and influence offers you the opportunity to. And you refuse to hold those people accountable because you are scared to move, that going forward, that someone else will stop you from having an opportunity because you called that person out. If that is the way that politics in the Democratic Party or the Republican Party or any party is going to work, if that is the way that these mainstream media and hell, even independent media is going to work, if you call people out and hold them accountable, then you have to fear for an opportunity going forward. Fuck it. I don't need it. And I think a lot of people feel that way. Y'all hear my kitten? She's trying to come in here and be with her daddy. But hey, I'm working. Nala, daddy is working right now. Thank you. Oh no. But yeah, sorry about that. But yeah, I like I said, to say that Donna Brazile is in the Clintonite is just a lie. It's an utter lie. To say that the Democratic Party is in the middle of some revolution, that would be also a lie. Now, what I would say is that they may be in the middle of a revelation. They may be in the middle of a financial revelation because they broke as hell. They're super broke. So yeah, in that regard, there may be a quote unquote revolution. But we're pretending like the Democratic Party, once again, doesn't have a bad habit of making decisions against their own interests, let alone our interests. But they make decisions against their own interests. So I would not be surprised in the slightest if they disregard the fact that they're going broke. I mean, look at what they did with the committee, with the Rules and Bylaw Committee. Look at what Donna Brazile is still doing. Denying. Look once again how nobody is being held accountable. Nobody, if once again, I said this earlier, Russiagate. So if TYT won't admit Russiagate is bullshit, because there's no evidence to prove it whatsoever. If Nomiki works for TYT, and she considers herself to be one of the most progressive people on this Unity Commission, our Unity Committee, and she won't tell the truth about that particular story. And if they won't hold the truth and bring the truth to light as it should be, how the fuck can I expect Nomiki to go onto this commission and then the Democratic Party all of a sudden come to Jesus and admit that they were the ones responsible for their loss and that the Russiagate story was nonsense? You can't expect that. So if they can't hold themselves simply accountable for, because this, it's so easy to say we should not have put all of our marbles on Clinton and we messed up. We should have went behind Bernie Sanders when we had the chance. You know how many people would have taken a step back like, wow, thank you so much for recognizing that huge and dire mistake that you made. Now let's see if we can move forward. But that's not what happened. They were so scared to take responsibility that they create a whole story to the point, it's like, when you're a kid and you lie and your lie gets so big, so many people are involved that you can't keep the lie straight, and somehow you ended up in the principal's office explaining how your dog ate your homework, and then they were like, it's backed up to your laptop, and you're like, damn, well, what had happened was my laptop was set on fire because I lit my house on fire. But didn't you just say that you slept in your house last night? When I said my house, that's just another way of me saying that I was in an Airbnb, and that was a house that I was sleeping in. It was so comfortable that I considered it to be my place of residency because that's how comfortable I was. Were you allowed to bring your dog there? Did you leave your dog at the? Well, listen, now you're asking me too many questions. Believe me, I've been doing this. I've been doing homework for 25 years. And if I've been doing homework for 25 years, I think I would know if my dog ate my homework or not. You just have to trust me on this. In fact, you can ask my teachers from when I was in kindergarten, and they trust me. They know that I do my homework. And just because that story I just made up sounds completely and utterly ridiculous, you should ignore that and just, go off my word and take my word. That is exactly what we are dealing with when it comes to the Democratic Party in the Russian story. The lie has gotten so elaborate that FBI agents and senators and Judiciary Committee people are having to testify in front of court under oath simply because the Democratic Party could not take a step back and say, y'all, we messed up. We messed up bad. What the hell were we thinking? Because they don't want to, and it's literally an ego thing. It's a money thing too, but it's, believe it or not, as liberals are oftentimes egotistical because they're very ambitious. The Democratic Party is all about status. Liberals and progressives alike are a lot of the time about status. They want that next step. They want that gold placard. They want to feel like they've achieved something. Because a lot of them, in reality, a lot of them have had to go through a lot to be at the position that they're in. But once they get there, they've worked so hard and they've identified themselves by the type of work that they do, they believe that's their end goal. I have to have the highest seat at the highest table. I have to be on the inside. It's ridiculous. And I can't see Nomiki legitimately, I can't believe her, because she doesn't even really understand politics. She can't do the simplest research that absolutely disproves the Russiagate story. She can't even acknowledge the fact, hey, how about we stop allowing the Democratic chairperson to be the one who decides who makes all the rules at the end of the day? How about we address that fact? How about Either you change superdelegates right the fuck now, or we all walk out of this unity commission right now. But they would never do that. Especially Nomiki, because she likes being on camera. She doesn't know how to talk about anything else. She's, like I said, she's not really that bright. Okay? Like, but that's self-serving, selfish, self-propagation. That's what it all comes back to. And I'm glad that Jimmy Dore, you know, he's like I said, he tries to be nice to her because they're former colleagues and he's patient. And hey, look, that's a good way to get some really good interviews on your channel. I am not that nice. I refuse to let you skate around important questions like, oh, well, maybe we can get, they just don't want to give up this seat, so we'll have to compromise. No, you can, I'm not saying never compromise, but the superdelegate system is a total sham. It is not democracy. The election rules, like, first of all, the political parties should not be allowed to be private corporate entities where they have a CEO. Like, no. They should be federally regulated, as they are, to a degree. And the election rules should be federally right. Because people can say, but what about, you know, that's their right as their party, they're private, they're this. The outcome of those decisions behind closed doors leads us to President Trump's. Leads us to a Hillary Clinton, President Trump general election. And those decisions, ladies and gentlemen, affect all of us. Not just the United States, but the entire world. That is exactly why they should be federally governed. If you want to have a party, and your party is supposed to be for the good of the United States of America, because that's why you're running, the good of your state, then your party should not be making, it can make decisions about a lot of things, but how elections are ran, the date that votes are had, the dates that people go to vote, whether or not your state or your party decides when they want to use electronic or paper ballots, whether or not someone can enter onto a debate stage, whether or not you allow them to run under your party's banner. Those decisions should not be made up to a private entity with a CEO that has a vested interest in bullshitting us and screwing us over. Once again, another fundamental change that needs to take place. If you think that joining a party is going to solve your problems or exiting a party is going to solve your problems, you don't understand what we are dealing with. You're scraping the mold off of the bread and trying to tell me it's fresh, when you need to throw the fucking bread out and go buy a new loaf. Find your election commissions, people. Find attorneys. Sue in your state level before elections start. Sue at the national level before elections start. But Justice Democrats, unity committees, I'm not saying that they don't have a place. I'm not saying that. Justice Democrats do not have a place being ran by a media conglomerate. That is damn sure true. And Nomiki has no business as a quote unquote journalist, as a journalist for TYT, being on a committee that is solely dedicated to unifying one party, as if there are no other options. That is wrong. But the reason why that TYT pushes Justice quote unquote Democrats, the reason why Nomiki is on a unity committee for Democrats is because they see no other option. Why do they see no other option? Oh, because of the duopoly. Absolutely. Well, why don't we see, why does the duopoly exist? Because third parties can't become large enough and they can't win. Well, why can't third parties win? Because the elections are rigged. Well, why are the elections rigged? Oh, now we start getting to the real questions. we start getting to the real problems. And if we ask the real questions and we acknowledge the real problems, we can get to real solutions instead of dealing with the surface level. So with that being said, make sure that you donate to the One Follow $1 campaign in Patreon if you have not. If you don't want to do that, you can definitely drop some super chat love if you're watching. Always love the super chat gifts. The biggest donation thus far has actually been $50 in the super chat, which is pretty awesome. You know, anything helps though. Anything helps. $1, 50 cents. Seriously, literally anything helps. And you all have done like such a fantastic job helping the show progress over this last year. Like, it's absolutely unbelievable. And I thank you all so much for those who are already part of the One Follow $1 campaign. And like I said that we were going to be doing this much more. We're going pretty much full time now. I'm not going to be doing the regular show, the Thursday night show again, until January the 1st. Well, whatever first Thursday of the new year is. That's because, you know, family, friends, holidays, all that good stuff. But hey, we're gonna keep doing these updates. Anytime breaking news happens and stuff like that, I'm still gonna be there. You know, I just have to take a break sometime and spend some time with the family, right? So thank you all so much for watching. Hey, share this post, like this post, and go check out the other videos. And don't forget, also in the description you can see the mailing list, and you can actually get that, click that and join that mailing list pretty simply. It's like a 2-step process, and that way whenever I do these videos you can get updated in advance. And I will, if I plan on doing a video later on that evening, or if I post a new video, things like that, because Facebook has done a pretty good job of suppressing me, and YouTube has done, they've been getting better because I've been like calling them out about it, like me emailing them and things like that. But hey, why take a chance on missing something when you can just sign up for the email list, the mailing list, and get that straight to your inbox? And there you go, just that easy. We have like 25 people so far. I wanted to wait until I got to 50 people to send out the first email, but hell, why wait, right? Thank you all so much for watching, man, and I appreciate it. And always remember, find your balance. Peace.